There's something special about riding through the open plains in Red Dead Redemption 2, the dust kicking up behind your horse, the golden hour sun washing over the terrain, and the subtle crackle of a nearby campfire. But now, imagine all of that in the palm of your hands. Today, we're taking a deep dive into how one of the most visually stunning and demanding open-world games of all time performs on the Steam Deck OLED. This isn't just about portability, it's about whether this little powerhouse can truly handle the cinematic weight of a Rockstar epic. From detailed character models to wide-open landscapes teeming with wildlife, Red Dead 2 isn't just a game. It's an immersive world that pushes hardware to its limits. And with the upgraded OLED display, we're talking about deeper blacks, more vibrant colors, and a level of contrast that really brings Arthur Morgan's journey to life in ways you've never seen on a handheld before. Whether you're exploring dense forests, navigating blizzards in the grizzlies, or just enjoying a quiet moment by the fire at camp, the Steam Deck OLED offers a surprisingly rich experience. The responsiveness of the controls, the clarity of the visuals, and the sound, especially with headphones, all contribute to a version of Red Dead 2 that's not just playable, but genuinely enjoyable on the go. Of course, we're not skipping over the technical side. I've spent some time tweaking the settings, experimenting with FSR, and testing multiple in-game locations to see how the Steam Deck OLED keeps up. In this video, we're going to break down how it feels to play, what settings give you the best experience, and ultimately, is it worth diving back into the West on this device? Stick around, because after the break, I'm going to show you exactly how Red Dead Redemption 2 performs in different environments, what kind of gameplay fluidity you can expect, and how to squeeze the most out of the deck's potential without sacrificing that beautiful OLED display. And if you're wondering how the OLED display actually changes the feel of the game, it's more than just looks. The deeper blacks make nighttime rides feel more atmospheric. Lanterns glow more warmly, campfires flicker more realistically, and storms rolling in over the plains, they feel alive. You also start noticing little details. The stitching in Arthur's coat, the reflections off a puddle, the way sunlight cuts through tree branches. These things were always in the game, sure, but on the OLED screen, they stand out in a way that really makes you pause. What surprised me most, though, is how immersive the experience becomes when you're fully handheld. No distractions, just you, the story, and that big open world in your hands. It's a reminder of how far handheld gaming has come, and how well the Steam Deck OLED delivers that AA experience without compromise. Now let's talk about how the game actually feels, running at 50 frames per second on the Steam Deck OLED. And honestly, it's surprisingly solid. At 50 FPS, you're right in that sweet spot where gameplay feels fluid, without pushing the hardware to its absolute limits. It's not quite the ultra-smooth 60, sure, but it's far better than a locked 30. The added responsiveness makes gunplay more satisfying, horse riding smoother, and even just walking through towns or forests feels more natural. There's a real sense of momentum when you're moving through the world. Animations transition cleanly, input lag stays low, and aiming, especially in shootouts or Deadeye, feels tight and consistent. What's also impressive is how well the Steam Deck OLED holds that 50 FPS target across a range of environments. Whether you're in the crowded streets of St. Denis, the snowy peaks of Coulter, or deep in the forest near Strawberry, the frame pacing remains steady. No weird hitching or stutters, just a consistent playable flow. Combine that with the OLED screen, and the experience becomes more immersive than you'd expect on a handheld. Those 10-20 extra frames over 30 FPS make a noticeable difference, especially in action-heavy moments like shootouts or chases. It's a great balance, smooth enough to feel premium without compromising too much on visual quality or battery life. If you're aiming for an immersive, responsive experience on the go, 50 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED is honestly a great place to land. Running Red Dead Redemption 2 at 60 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED is where things start to feel impressively premium, but with some caveats. When it holds, the gameplay feels incredibly smooth. You notice it immediately in how fast Arthur responds, how fluid the animations look, and how sharp aiming and camera movement become. Exploring the open world at 60 frames gives you that desktop-level feel, especially with the OLED screen enhancing motion clarity and depth. It's great during cinematic shootouts, or when you're galloping full speed through dense environments. But hitting and maintaining 60 FPS consistently takes serious tweaking. You'll need to drop some settings, typically to medium or even low in certain areas, and leverage FSR to keep things steady. It's not a locked 60 all the time, but when it hits, it's beautiful. You're getting the smoothest version of Red Dead 2 Handheld, and it's genuinely impressive. Running Red Dead Redemption 2 at 70 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED is impressive, but definitely pushing the limits. When it does hit that mark, the gameplay feels ultra smooth, especially during fast camera pans and horseback chases. But to get there, you'll need aggressive settings, low visuals, FSR turned on, and often a dynamic resolution tweak. It's not always stable, but when it peaks, it gives a next-level handheld experience, crisp, fluid, and responsive. Hitting 80 FPS in Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Steam Deck OLED is more of a technical flex than a consistent experience. You'll only see it in low-demand scenes with ultra-aggressive settings and upscaling. When it happens, it's silky. Movement feels razor-sharp, almost surreal on a handheld. But it's short-lived. The deck simply can't sustain it in most areas. So consider 80 FPS more of a rare peak than a playable target. Pushing Red Dead Redemption 2 to 90 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED is more of a showcase moment than a real performance goal. You might catch it during menus or simple indoor scenes, but it's not sustainable during open-world gameplay, even with ultra-low settings and aggressive upscaling. Still, seeing a game like this touch 90 FPS on a handheld is wild. Overall, the Steam Deck OLED delivers a seriously impressive experience. Between the vibrant screen, excellent controls, and flexible settings, it handles Red Dead surprisingly well. Whether you're locking to 30 for battery life, hovering around 50 for balance, or chasing higher frames just to see what's possible. It's not perfect, but for a portable version of one of the most demanding games ever made, it's kind of amazing how well it works.